Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Laval Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for April 2025. For those of you who don't know, Lavals are one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks from the Dual Terminals storyline. This deck focuses on setting up your graveyard with a bunch of different Laval monsters and then being able to use those monsters to summon them back onto the field and then go into the many different Laval Synchro monsters that we have as well. Since the last update to the deck, some of the Fire Engine has become more readily available to use in the deck, so I figured I'd update it with some of the changes I've made to the extra deck and also some changes I've made for setting up more and more cards in the graveyard for us to use for the Laval playstyle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. One of the most important main deck monsters is Laval Volcano Handmaiden. When this card is sent to the graveyard, if you have a Laval monster in your graveyard other than Volcano Handmaiden, you can send one Laval monster from your deck to the graveyard. So you can send Handmaiden off of another Handmaiden and then continue that play until all three of your Handmaidens are in the graveyard, giving you the final Handmaiden to be able to send one additional card, giving you the setup for 5 Laval monsters in your graveyard to be able to make use of. Most of the Laval monsters also have 200 defense, so when you have those 5 set up in the graveyard, they are the perfect target for rekindling, being able to summon back all those resources from the graveyard onto the field thanks to this spell. We're also running 3 copies of our Laval Archer, another monster with 200 defense. So not only is it the perfect rekindling target, it's also one of those cards you can set up first in the graveyard, then send Laval Volcano Handmaiden. And when it's normal summoned during the main phase of this turn, you can normal summon 1 Laval monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You're going in this effect once per turn. And also with this card, you can target 1 fire monster you control, destroy it if you do special summon this card in defense, but banish it when it leaves the field if it's in your graveyard. And then also you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except for fire monsters. You go use this effect of Laval Archer once per turn, but being able to use this setup effect, being able to target that fire monster we control, there are some pretty good fire monsters that we can make use of with this effect, setting it back up in the graveyard again for when our opponent special summons a monster for us to then use to destroy another card on the field. And that additional normal summon comes in handy if we do open up cards like Handmaiden in our hand to be able to normal summon it out and then go for a synchro play using our level 4 non-tuner and our level 1 tuner monster. We're also running 3 copies of Laval Cannon. While this card doesn't have 200 defense, it's very useful for the option to target a banished Laval monster and special summon that target. So then, being able to just go for another synchro play if we have our level 1 Handmaiden, or, a link play if we have our Laval Archer, or a level 7 synchro play if we go for our next monster in the deck, which is our Laval Lakeside Lady. If it's in your graveyard and you have 3 or more Laval monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can banish it and one other Laval monster from your graveyard to target a set card your opponent controls and destroy that target. While not being a once per turn, it helps to get around some pesky back row and also being able to make use of the banish play. It's also not a once per turn, so if you have multiple Lakeside Ladies, you can make use of this destruction as well. With the last of my Laval monsters being 1 copy of Laval Magma Cannoneer, this card is just a one of. Once again, it has 200 defense, so another rekindling target. It just has a discard option of a Laval monster to be able to then destroy but inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card you send. So good burn damage, but also just more graveyard setup of our other Laval monsters if we happen to open them up in our hand. With the additional setup for engine in the deck being 3 copies of Boost Warrior. If you control a tuner monster, which we run a good number of with the forms of Handmaiden and Lakeside Lady, we could just summon out Boost Warrior to the field. Boost Warrior also helps with one of my favorite plays to do for synchro variants in the deck, which I always go over in my Laval updates. So 3 copies of this card and also 3 copies of Red Resonator. Just another special summon extender in the deck, being able to summon out a level 4 lower monster from our hand to the field. With link monsters being a big variant in the deck, they definitely do help just to extend more and more plays to summon out onto the field. And lastly, the 1 copy of Blaster Dragon Ruler for the actual fire engine that I run for the whole entire deck setup, with the only hand trap spot being 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Just if we have to go second against our opponent, running this in impermanence helps for just more of a reaction during our opponent's turn, because a good majority of the cards we have to run in the deck focus on the actual engine and being able to, perform the extra deck plays we want to go for. For these spells, we're running 3 copies of Molten Conduction Field. You send 2 Laval monsters from your deck to the graveyard. Now, this card definitely helps to set up the Laval monsters because you send 2, so you can send Laval Archer and then Handmaiden. This will resolve Handmaiden since you have another Laval monster in the graveyard and be able to set up all 5 of your Laval monsters in the graveyard, giving you your deck thinned out. And then also the monsters to special summon back with our Rekindling, which we are also running 3 copies of. It is not a once per turn, so if you have multiple Rekindlings, that's more and more monsters to extend from in the graveyard. And you want to make sure you use them for extra deck plays, otherwise they'll be banished at the end of the turn thanks to this card. We're also running 3 copies of Birth of the Prominence Flame. You target 2 fire monsters, 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner with 200 defense in your graveyard, banish both monsters, and if you do, special summon 1 fire synchro monster from your extra deck whose level equal to the total level of those monsters. You can activate 1 Birth of Prominence Flame per turn, but sadly it does not count as a synchro play, so you have to remember this for this summon, but it makes use of those graveyard monsters by giving you more banish resource as well for cards like Laval Cannon, and then just another synchro option as well to summon out those cards. You just have to remember also that the cards have to be ones that don't have to be synchro summoned. So there's a good number of Laval monsters that you can make use of for those summons as well in the deck. Our Red Resonator also has 200 defense, so you can use it as part of the banishing it, and our other monsters as well for those synchro plays. Some of the lower numbers for the spells before we get to the lower numbers: 3 copies of Fire Ejection. You send 1 Pyro monster from your deck to the graveyard. It's mostly used for a volcanic setup, but just having an additional way to send Pyro monsters from our deck to the graveyard on top of the Molten Conduction Field is definitely one I like to run the deck. If you want to mix around the numbers of Fire Ejection, you could always decrease the number of this card, and if you do, increase the number of Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos that we run the deck for more special summon destruction power using this card. 2 copies of Oil for being able to add back some of the more useful fire monsters from our graveyard back to our hand, being able to add cards like Laval Cannon back to reuse again. And then lastly, the 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army, being able to search out our Laval Cannon off of this card for another search, or even our Boost Warrior to be able to do so. And then lastly, for the traps, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. As I mentioned before, just a small hand trap lineup along with the Ash Blossoms that we run in the main deck. For the extra deck, our synchros include the Laval Engine that we run, the 1 copy of Laval Salamander, the 1 Laval Dragon, the 1 Dual Slasher, which also has 200 defense, so it could potentially be a special summon target for Rekindling if we synchro summon it properly, the Laval Dragoon, along with the Laval Stenin, and the 1 Laval X-Lord for the entire lineup of different Laval monsters that we run in the extra deck. The 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon for more deck or field destruction plays. The 1 copy of Formula Synchron, along with the 1 Shooting Quasar, because it's very easy to summon out Quasar in this deck. And then the 1 Shooting Star to summon off of Quasar after it leaves the field. For the Link monsters, the 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer, the 1 Salmon Great Sunlight Wolf, the 1 Bestower of Flames, Promethean Princess, and then the 1 Amphibious Swarm Ship and Blow Whale to summon off of it when we use its special summon play. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I mentioned, and I will show in most of my videos, my favorite play in the deck revolves around just needing 3 cards in your hand to get out the Shooting Quasar Dragon, are these 3 cards. If you have Molten Conduction Field, Rekindling, and Boost Warrior in your hand, you can summon out your Shooting Quasar Dragon. So what you do is you activate the Molten Conduction Field and use this card to send to the graveyard the Laval Archer, and then 1 Handmaiden. Handmaiden will activate, sending another Handmaiden. That one will then activate as well, sending off the final Handmaiden, and then you can use the final monster to send be your Cannoneer. So if you do happen to have a Lakeside Lady, you have the 3 different Laval monsters on top of that card in your graveyard to use. You then activate the Rekindling. This will summon back all 5 of the monsters from the graveyard to the field. And then from there, you go for your synchro plays. Using your first 2, you can summon out your level 5 monster, which can be your Laval Dragon. And then the next one after that can be the level 5 synchro of your next go-to monster, which can be your Dual Slasher. And then this is where you can special summon out your Boost Warrior to then go for your level 2 synchro, which is your Formula Synchron, which will also give you an additional draw. And what's also good about this play is you have Laval Dragon. You can shuffle 2 Laval monsters from your graveyard into the main deck to target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So if your opponent has monsters set up on their board with no additional disruption, you can use the setup of this monster to shuffle back 2, and then 2 for your level monsters, bouncing 2 opponent's monsters back to their hand. And then from there, go for your level 12 synchro play. If you clear their monster board and are able to summon out Quasar Dragon, even if they have a card in their back row to try and negate this card, you can use the negation of Quasar and then swing twice into your opponent for the 8,000 points of damage and game right there. Some of the other setup in the deck revolves around more graveyard setup, as mentioned before. If you have Molten Conduction Field and let's say our go-to Birth of the Prominence Flame, you can have another pretty good setup. Let's say our 3 cards in our hand are Laval Cannon, Birth of the Prominence Flame, and Molten Conduction Field. Using these same plays mentioned before, you'll set up your 5 go-to monsters in your graveyard using your Molten Conduction Field. So then your 3 Handmaidens. Now, there is a chance you can open up a Handmaiden in your hand, so even with this play, if you only have the 2 in the deck to send, as long as you get your other send setup complete, you will be fine right then and there. You will then use the Birth of the Prominence Flame for a banish using the Artillery Magma Cannon and the Handmaiden to go for the special summon of your Synchro monster from the extra deck. So with this, you'll have your level 5 Synchro play ready to use again, being your Laval Dragon. Then you can normal summon out your Laval Cannon. This will summon back your Handmaiden from the banish to the field. You can then go for another level 5 Synchro play, or you could go for the additional level or link 2 option, depending on the one you want to summon out with these plays as well. This, you can go into the Sunlight Wolf play if the Handmaiden happens to be in your hand. If not, you can also go for the additional summon of your Hida the Blaze Charmer if your opponent has a fire monster in their graveyard for you to use, because then you can just link climb using that monster into your Promethean Princess, into your Ambler Whale, using those cards as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, I always love updating the Laval deck, being one of my favorites from the Dual Terminal storyline. Maybe we'll see some new support in the near future for this set as well. But until then, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.